Welcome to the Cockpit Tour. This section is designed to replicate all functional aspects of the F-14's gauges, controls, and systems in standard mode. Most key presses referred to in this voiceover function as in the game. To begin your cockpit tour, click on any cockpit indicator. You can stop a voiceover at any time by pressing the Escape key. The vertical velocity indicator displays your rate of ascent or descent, measured in thousands of feet per minute. The airspeed indicator displays your current speed in knots indicated airspeed, or KIAS. This measurement is distinct from true airspeed, or TAS, which is affected by air density and temperature. At higher altitudes, the air becomes less dense, reducing drag on your aircraft. As a result of this reduced drag, your TAS increases as you climb, even as you maintain constant KIAS. TAS is shown on your horizontal situation display. The radar altimeter uses the terrain-following radar to display above ground level altitude. This figure is the amount of distance between you and the ground and should not be confused with above sea level altitude. If you are flying over a mountain, there is a significant difference between sea and ground level readings. Above sea level altitude is measured by the altimeter. The altimeter measures your above sea level altitude in hundreds and thousands of feet. Above sea level altitude is not necessarily the same as the height of the aircraft above the ground. Above sea level altitude is a constant, while above ground level altitude changes depending on the elevation of the ground beneath you. If you are flying over a mountain, there is a significant difference between sea and ground level readings. Above ground level altitude is measured by the radar altimeter. The artificial horizon displays your aircraft's pitch and roll. Pitch is the vertical orientation of your aircraft, while roll is the horizontal orientation. The heading indicator is a magnetic heading compass and can act as a backup if the compass on the heads-up display is damaged. The G-force indicator displays the amount of stress you are subjecting the aircraft to as you maneuver. This stress is expressed in multiples of the normal force of gravity. A G-force indicator that reads 6 means that you are putting stress equal to 6 times the normal force of gravity on yourself and the plane. Positive G's occur when you pull back on the stick, while negative G's occur when the stick is pushed forward. When a pilot pulls high positive G's as the result of a tight turn or steep climb, blood is forced to the feet, depriving the brain of oxygen. If a G count is sustained above 8 G's, you may black out until the stress is relieved. When negative forces of -3 or greater occur, excess blood is forced into the brain and eyes. This condition is called redout. The Tactical Electronic Warfare System, or TEWS, alerts you to any radar sources attempting to track your aircraft, whether on the ground or in the air. Objects appearing at the top of your TEWS are in front of you. Objects appearing at the bottom are behind you. If an enemy is searching for you, a beep sounds whenever their radar passes over you, and a section of the TEWS lights up to indicate the direction of the radar. When a radar has locked onto you, a ground-based radar source appears as a square icon in the TEWS display, while a diamond icon indicates that a hostile plane is painting your aircraft. Either way, a launch is imminent. Your radar intercept officer warns you when an enemy missile has left the rail, and you also hear an audio alert from the TEWS. After launch, a radar-guided missile appears as a small square in the TEWS. Heat-seeking missiles do not appear on the display because they do not rely on radar tracking. In addition to displaying threat information, the TEWS can jam a hostile radar. Pressing the J key turns the jammer on. Once active, the jammer automatically counters radar emissions directed at your plane. The word jammer flashes when automatic jamming is engaged. At this point, you are harder to lock onto, but very easy to detect, because your jammer creates a lot of radar noise. If stealth is more important to you than missile avoidance, press the J key again to turn off the electronic countermeasures. The angle of attack gauge displays your current angle of attack, which is defined as the difference between an aircraft's flight path and the chord line of its wing. In practical terms, having a high angle of attack means that you have high maneuverability. The F-14 is designed with movable wings that automatically take advantage of various flight conditions. The position of the wings is called the wing sweep and is displayed by the wing sweep indicator. As you accelerate, the wings automatically sweep back, so you are configured for high-speed linear flight. When you need more lift and maneuverability for tight turns, dogfights, and landings, the wings sweep forward as you slow down. By looking at an F-14's wing configuration, you can gauge the relative speed of the aircraft. The external tank jettison switch drops your external fuel tanks, making your Tomcat faster and more maneuverable. You can activate this switch by pressing Shift-J. The Sidewinder lock lamp illuminates when your Sidewinder has acquired a target. Using this lamp, you can tell if your Sidewinder has locked onto an enemy plane, even if your radar has been turned off. The collision lamp is illuminated by your radar intercept officer to indicate that you are in collision with a bogey. When this lamp is lit, your backseater is indicating that you are on the correct course for interception. Many radar intercept officers prefer to let the pilot pick an interception course, and so do not utilize this lamp. The master arm lamp is lit when the master arm switch is on, enabling your weapons to fire. The master arm switch arms your weapons. You can toggle this switch by pressing the M key. When your weapons are armed, the master arm lamp is lit. The Weapon Stores display shows the number and location of missiles remaining on each side of the aircraft. A black box means that the weapon at that station has been fired, while a gray box indicates an unused missile. The checkered box indicates what weapon is selected to be fired next. The left engine fire lamp illuminates when your portside engine has been damaged and is on fire. The right engine fire lamp illuminates when your starboard engine has been damaged and is on fire. The left engine compressor stall lamp is lit if your portside engine has suffered a compressor stall due to random mechanical failure. The right engine compressor stall lamp is lit if your starboard engine has suffered a compressor stall due to random mechanical failure. The landing gear lamp is lit when your landing gear is down and appears in conjunction with the approach indexer. The landing gear may be raised or lowered by pressing the G key. The speed brake lamp is lit when your speed brake has been extended, causing you to lose speed quickly. The speed brake is opened and closed by pressing the B key. The approach indexer functions when your gear is down and helps to adjust your angle of attack during landing approaches. A green light means that you are oriented properly for landing. A down arrow indicates that you should adjust your angle of attack by pitching your nose down, while an up arrow tells you to pull your nose up. For more information on angle of attack, click on the Angle of Attack gauge. The radar warning lamps are lit when you have been locked up by an enemy radar. The SAM light is lit when you have been locked up by a surface-to-air missile site. The AAA light is illuminated when an anti-aircraft artillery site is tracking you. The AI light is lit when you have been locked up by an airborne interceptor. The heads-up display, or HUD, shows basic flight and combat information, so you are not required to look down at your instruments in the middle of a dogfight. The HUD is used in navigation and combat modes. You can learn more about the HUD in navigation mode by clicking on the magnetic heading indicator, the waypoint caret, or the pitch ladder. To learn about the HUD in combat mode, press the backspace key at any time. The magnetic heading indicator is a digital compass. The position of the bore sight reference mark on the magnetic heading indicator shows your compass heading in degrees. The waypoint caret displays the direction of the waypoint that has been selected. To travel towards the waypoint, maneuver so the waypoint caret is lined up with the bore sight reference mark. The position of the bore sight reference mark on the magnetic heading indicator shows your compass heading in degrees. The orientation of the aircraft reticle on the pitch ladder indicates your aircraft's pitch relative to the horizon. If the aircraft reticle is positioned over solid pitch lines, it means that you are pointed above the horizon. If the aircraft reticle is positioned over dashed pitch lines, it means that you are pointed below the horizon. An aircraft reticle that is lined up with the horizon indicates that you are flying straight and level. The Vertical Display Indicator, or VDI, is a backup system for the heads-up display. Pressing the V key toggles between the vertical display indicator and the television camera system. To learn about the VDI in combat mode, press the backspace key to lock onto a target. Television camera system selected. The television camera system gives you a picture of a locked target. The camera may be zoomed by pressing the Z key and unzoomed by pressing the X key. Vertical display indicator selected. You are now in combat mode. Your vertical display indicator shows the locked enemy represented by the steering T. Press the 1, 2, 3, or 4 key to select a weapon system. Press the K key to break your lock on the enemy aircraft. The steering T represents a target that you have locked up. To increase your chances of a missile kill, maneuver so that the steering T is inside the allowable steering error circle before firing. The allowable steering error circle is used to line up a clean shot on the enemy. To increase your chances of a missile kill, maneuver so that the steering T, representing an enemy aircraft, is inside the circle before firing. The azimuth range bar is used to determine if an enemy is in range of a selected weapon and can also be used to estimate the distance to a target. A locked target is represented by a tick mark on the left side of the bar, called the target range mark. On the right side of the bar are 2 tick marks which represent the minimum and maximum ranges of the selected weapon system. In this case, ranges for the Sidewinder missile systems are shown. A target range mark that is inside these ticks is in range. The number directly beneath the range bar is the maximum range of the bar in nautical miles. If a target range mark is halfway up an azimuth range bar set to 5, then the target is 2.5 nautical miles away. Your F-14 is equipped with an M61A1 Vulcan Gatling gun with a maximum effective range of about a half mile. This gun has 675 rounds of ammunition, enough for about 7 seconds of continuous fire. The floating gun sight helps you to position your aircraft in a dogfight. To maximize your chances of a gun's kill, maneuver so that the floating gun sight is over an enemy plane. Pressing the Enter key will fire the gun. The gun may be fired at any time, no matter what weapon system has been placed in priority. When a target has been locked up on your radar, a target designator diamond appears on your heads-up display, showing you the location of the aircraft. The target range scale is used to estimate the range to an enemy that you have locked up. A locked target is represented by a pointer on the left side of the scale, called the target range caret. On the right side of the scale are 2 tick marks that represent the maximum and minimum ranges of the selected weapon system. In this case, Sidewinder ranges are shown. A target range caret that is inside these ticks is in range. If it is outside, then it is not in range. If the range to target is less than the minimum range of the selected weapon system, then you will see a large X in the middle of your display. This is called the break X cue, indicating that you are too close to use the selected weapon system. The number near the top of the range scale is the maximum range of the scale in nautical miles. This number changes automatically as your distance to the target changes. A target range caret that is halfway up a target range scale set to 5 indicates that the target is 2.5 nautical miles away. When the HUD symbology is flashing, it means that the target is in range of your selected weapon. At this point, you can fire a missile by pressing the space bar. The closure scale measures the speed at which you are closing with a targeted aircraft. The target closure caret, located on the right side of the scale, points to the closure speed, measured in hundreds of knots per hour. A positive value means you are getting closer to the target, while a negative value means that the target is pulling away from you. The Weapon Priority Indicator displays which of 4 weapon systems is currently selected. The 1 key selects the M61A1 Vulcan internal gun. Pressing the 2 key places the Sidewinder missile system in priority. The 3 key allows you to fire Sparrows, and the 4 key selects the Phoenix missile system. The AIM-9M Sidewinder is a close-in heat-seeking missile with a range of between 1 and 4.5 nautical miles. The Sidewinder has an independent guidance system and does not need input from the F-14's radar to acquire a target. This guidance system is represented on the heads-up display by a floating seeker head that searches for heat sources to lock onto. When a target has been acquired and is in range, as indicated by the target range scale, the heads-up display symbology will begin to flash. At this point, you can fire a Sidewinder by pressing the spacebar key. The Sidewinder is a fire-and-forget weapon, which means that once you have fired, you may break the lock and maneuver as necessary. The orientation of the aircraft reticle on the pitch ladder indicates your aircraft's pitch relative to the horizon. If the aircraft reticle is positioned over solid pitch lines, it means that you are pointed above the horizon. If the aircraft reticle is positioned over dashed pitch lines, it means that you are pointed below the horizon. An aircraft reticle that is lined up with the horizon indicates that you are flying straight and level. The AIM-7M Sparrow is a medium-distance radar-guided missile with a range of between 2 and 24 nautical miles. When a target has been acquired and is in range, as indicated by the target range scale, the heads-up display symbology will begin to flash. At this point, you can fire a Sparrow by pressing the spacebar key. The Sparrow requires input from the F-14's AUG-9 radar until it reaches the target and detonates. So be sure that you maintain a lock on the target until impact, or until the missile has clearly overshot. The AIM-54C Phoenix is a long-distance radar-guided missile with a maximum range of 100 nautical miles. The F-14 Tomcat was designed with this weapon system in mind. These missiles are heavy, expensive, and designed for use against non-maneuvering targets, such as bombers and reconnaissance planes. Even with these disadvantages, the Phoenix is the weapon of choice for engaging targets before they get close enough to fire on you. When a target has been acquired and is in range, as indicated by the target range scale, the heads-up display symbology will begin to flash. At this point, you can fire a Phoenix by pressing the spacebar key. The Phoenix is a fire-and-forget weapon, which means that once you have fired, you can break the lock and maneuver as necessary. You have just broken lock on an enemy aircraft. Navigational information is now displayed on the heads-up display. To reacquire the target, press the backspace key. The RPM gauge displays the revolutions per minute of your engines. The engine temperature gauge shows your engine temperature. The fuel flow gauge indicates your rate of fuel flow. The graphical fuel gauge is a graphical representation of the total amount of fuel on board your aircraft. A numerical representation of this gauge is located above. The total fuel display shows the total amount of fuel on board your aircraft in pounds. A graphical representation of this gauge is located below. The bingo fuel indicator displays the minimum amount of fuel necessary to return to your carrier in pounds. When the amount of fuel in the total fuel display equals the amount shown in the bingo fuel display, you should head for home. The left engine fuel display shows the amount of fuel available to the left engine. The right engine fuel display shows the amount of fuel available to the right engine. The horizontal situation display, or HSD, shows navigational information. Around the outside of the HSD is a compass. The compass heading indicated by the heading symbol is your direction of flight. The waypoint indicator displays the direction of the selected waypoint. In the center of the HSD are 3 lines of text. The first line displays the distance to the selected waypoint. The middle line displays your true airspeed, or TAS. This measurement is distinct from knots-indicated airspeed, or KIAS. TAS is affected by air density and temperature. At higher altitudes, the air becomes less dense, reducing drag on your aircraft. As a result of this reduced drag, your TAS increases as you climb, even as you maintain constant KIAS. KIAS is shown on the third line of the HSD as a Mach number. Mach numbers express velocity in relation to the speed of sound. An HSD that reads Mach 2 means that the aircraft is traveling at twice the speed of sound. The HSD may also be used as a target information display repeater. Shift R toggles between the 2 displays. Target information display selected. The Tactical Information Display, or TID, shows you what is going on around your aircraft. Enemy and neutral objects appear as red icons, while friendly craft are blue. The TID displays icons representing fighters, bombers, ships, ground-based radars, missiles, and waypoints. A white square around an aircraft means that you have locked on to that target. The range can be set in increments between 10 and 200 nautical miles. Range scaling is controlled by the Z and X keys. The Z key magnifies the display, while the X key unzooms the display. Shift R toggles between the target information display and the horizontal situation display. Horizontal situation display selected. The throttle is used to change your speed. Pressing the minus key lowers your speed, and pressing the equal key increases your speed. Pressing Shift Equal sets your throttle at 100%, a setting known as full military power. The landing gear lever raises and lowers the landing gear. To raise or lower the gear, press the G key. Landing gear lowered. Landing gear raised. When you have been hit by missiles or by gunfire, any damage taken will be shown on your Master Caution Advisory panel. A lit display indicates a damaged system. Click on any lamp to learn more about damage to these systems. Damage to your landing gear or hook makes it impossible to land. The bingo fuel lamp indicates that you have just enough fuel to make it back to the carrier. When this light is on, you should set your throttle to a fuel-efficient 70% and head for home. Damage to your brakes prevents you from using your speed brake. Loss of hydraulic pressure makes the plane difficult to fly. When your left engine light is illuminated, it means that you have lost your left engine. You can still fly on just one engine, but if 2 get knocked out, it's time to eject by pressing Shift E. When the fuel low lamps are lit, it means that you are close to bingo fuel. Bingo fuel is the amount of fuel necessary to return to the carrier. When this lamp is lit, you should think about heading for home. When your right engine light is illuminated, it means that you have lost your right engine. You can still fly on just one engine, but if 2 get knocked out, it's time to eject by pressing Shift E. The F-14 is designed with movable wings that automatically take advantage of various flight conditions. The position of the wings is called the wing sweep. When the wing sweep damage indicator is lit, it means that your wings have become jammed in their current position. If your data link has been knocked out, your RIO will not receive radar information from external sources, such as the E-2C Hawkeye Airborne Early Warning Aircraft. Damage to your AWG-9 radar means that you cannot lock up targets or fire radar-guided missiles. Sidewinders may still be used, since they are heat seekers and are not dependent on a radar lock. When your AWG-15 fire control system has been hit, you cannot fire any weapons. If your nav system has been knocked out, you cannot use waypoint information to navigate. The arrestor hook lever lowers the arrestor hook for landings. To raise or lower the arrestor hook, press the H key.
Arrestor hook lowered. Arrestor hook raised.
The backseat view shows the radar systems operated by the Radar Intercept Officer, or RIO. The Detailed Data Display, or DDD, is your radar screen. The blips on the radar screen represent aircraft that the radar has detected. The closer the blips are to the bottom of the screen, the closer they are to you. Initially, the radar beam appears on the display as a green line that sweeps the sky. At this point, the DDD is in search mode. Once you have locked up one of the blips, the radar beam focuses on that blip, and the DDD switches to track mode. If you want to lock onto a target or focus on a different target, press the backspace key.
The range may be set in increments between 5 and 200 nautical miles. Range scaling is controlled by the Z and X keys. The Z key magnifies the display, while the X key reduces the display. Changing the radar. The range that the detailed data display is set to is shown by the range scaling indicator lamps. The range may be set in increments between 5 and 200 nautical miles. Range scaling is controlled by the Z and X keys. The Z key magnifies the display, while the X key reduces the display. Changing the radar scale has no effect in standard mode.
The radar indicator light is illuminated when your radar is on. The radar may be turned off and on by pressing the R key.
Radar inactive. Radar active.
The Track Search Mode display indicates what mode your radar systems are currently set to. Search mode is used when you are scanning the sky and have not designated a target. The radar goes into track mode when you have locked onto an aircraft.
The range that the tactical information display is set to is shown by the position of the range scaling control.
The range can be set in increments between 10 and 200 nautical miles. Range scaling is controlled by the Z and X keys. The Z key magnifies the display, while the X key unzooms the display. The Tactical Information Display, or TID, shows you what is going on around your aircraft. Enemy and neutral objects appear as red icons, while friendly craft are blue. The TID displays icons representing fighters, bombers, ships, ground-based radars, missiles, and waypoints. A white square around an aircraft means that you have locked on to that target. The range can be set in increments between 10 and 200 nautical miles. Range scaling is controlled by the Z and X keys. The Z key magnifies the display, while the X key unzooms the display.
Try clicking on the Target Information display or the Range Scaling control to find out more about the RIO look-down view.
The Tactical Information Display, or TID, shows you speed brake out, landing gear lowered, external fuel tanks jettisoned,
arrestor hook lowered,
speed brake in, landing gear raised,
arrestor hook raised,